are saying middle class is confused.
Yeah.
I am saying it's not.
Why?
I am saying middle class is very sure of what it wants. It is not at all confused.
Explain.
It is, the very concept of middle class is a bogus concept. There is nothing like middle class. It doesn't exist. What exists, on the other hand, is the creation of a class by systematic transfer of income. That exists. There was also another way of thinking of middle class which now has slipped my mind. See, I think we have something called the old world, hereditary money. Okay, and then you have something called, what is in economics called the informal economy. That is people living without money, subsistence income. People like here, what money can you find here? You won't find more than a 10 rupee note here. Okay, but there is a new sector, a new section of people who have been bred and brought up in money. That's what you refer to as the middle class. They are not confused at all. They are not at all confused. They are very certain and very sure of what they want. If they didn't, they would not be middle class. The very definition of middle class is that. What you are trying to say is that there are certain, the upper classes have some, roots, and the lower classes have some roots. In the real sense of, in a very graphic sense of the word root, like your feet are on the ground, whereas these people don't seem to have their feet on the ground.
They don't belong.
They don't belong. Yeah. No, it's interesting to reflect on why they don't belong. What are the processes which made them to not belong? And one of the most important processes that made them not belong is the idea of building a nation state. The idea of building great India, for instance. So to that extent, middle class is confused. If you say, it's confused in the sense that it is not rooted, that it doesn't know where its roots are. But the anxieties of the middle class, there is no confusion about it at all. What they don't like, what they like, there is no confusion about it at all. That they should, you should have a state, you should have a proper nation state, that there is no confusion about it at all. That you should build with, in my own field, you should build with cement, and you should build stronger buildings, there is no confusion about it at all.
So my question was, I still think that there was confusion because selecting Bhide, selecting you, I think that's quite a big step. I think which is middle class, what we are quoting, we have that term because we have to use it. Somehow I have a feeling that they may not, they may identify with it, but they, as we are saying, they don't belong. They might be hesitant to coming to this architecture.
So that's
why I'm saying is Bhide's step is quite an important and it's very interesting story.
No, that is why you should talk not about middle class in general, but about this client in particular.
That's the story.
That's the most important thing. Because see, another thing that
No, but he belongs to that particular class. He lives that particular way of life, and his way of thinking is that particular forms in which you can find across the area.
No, he may belong to that class. He may belong to that class, but what prompts him to build a house like this is not the imperatives of that class.
I think there are those imperatives must be prohibiting other people also. But yeah, just explain what you were saying. Bhide's story.
I will start with this. It's, I think in Marathi, this is a friend of mine, Prasanna, who told me this. When we did a project in Sangli, there were two other people who were building with exposed brick. Okay, Laurie Baker technology, as it is called. So he took us to their house. and one of the guys was an English professor, and he was building with exposed brick, and it was, I didn't particularly take to that building uh, because it was not done with a certain, neither the, this particular professor's conception of the building, nor the architect who had designed it from Pune, or the contractor who was building it. None of them were doing it with a certain exuberance. That exuberance was completely lacking in the way the building was structured and designed and being executed. So Prasanna made this comment which has struck in my head. Like, we both laughed at it. He said, so this is what they think of exposed brick. For which he said, yeah, wo abhiyan log hai. Wo abhiyan log hai. हाँ. Abhiyan means what? They are modern people, progressive people, cultured people.
I don't know what it is.
Abhiyan? What is abhiyan in Hindi?
Abhiyan is no word in Hindi or not.
Right?
This must be something different, pronunciation I'm not thinking.
Maybe.
Okay.
The idea was that, that this is a kind of cultured, he said that they were cultured people in quotes. It's a difficult meaning to translate. We have to talk more about it because on the one hand I am appreciative of that, on the other hand I am very cautious about it. Because it is that kind, it's a search for, it's an expression of a search for roots, it's an expression of a search for ethnicity, all those things, but it's again ethnicity in a very modern sense. It's ethnicity in a very fixed, rigid sense. It does not have the flexibility that genuinely ethnic communities or genuinely ethnic cultures practice. No? You don't have to wear your ethnicity as a badge or a label. Now these things tend to become that. They tend to become, it's like designer khadi, if you like. So they tend to become a kind of a badge or a label to proclaim that you love nature, you don't want to go cut trees, that you are very sensitive about the tremendous wastage of water, so you want to harvest rainwater, and you are very much proud of your Hindu heritage, so you have carved doors in your front of the house. You are very much proud of your well, let's say general heritage. So you have these carved pillars from demolished houses, and you are very sensitive to environmental destruction. So you go and get recycled wood. All these practices in themselves are good. I don't say they are bad. But what they adapt to is what I have learned from is what I have learned from Ivan Illich, where he sums up in one classic sentence. He says, modernity cherishes most what it destroys. So it's a kind of new cultivation of tradition that you are seeing around, where I won't even call it sentimental. It's not about sentiments. There is a genuine sense of loss which is felt. One must give it that. That loss is there. But the concept of a desirable future, the concept of a vision of a desirable future is not very different from a modern European future. It's not very different from, it's like this. You can ask yourself the question, should everybody wear designer khadi or should everybody wear ordinary khadi? You can ask that question. Now the question can be answered in one of these two ways, that all the poor must wear designer khadi. That is one way of answering the question, where you say that why should designer khadi be restricted only to the rich? The poor should also have access to it. Or you can say the other way around, which is no, everybody should wear only ordinary khadi. Why should the rich get away by not wearing ordinary khadi? One way of doing that. I think there is a third way to look at that, and which I think is the way ordinary life really exists everywhere. Is you want designer khadi, you wear it, and you keep it to yourself. Don't make me wear it. Don't tax my, don't drive my ordinary khadi out of the market so that even I have to wear designer khadi. Or another way is you can say, you want ordinary khadi, you wear it. But don't let them tax you. Don't let them make this ordinary khadi unviable. Something like that.